There's something about being in your early 20s, being 21, 22, 23, where you have a vision, but you haven't quite found a purpose. You wonder if you're making the right career moves, you wonder if you're making progress, or if you're wasting your time, if the friendships you have now will last, or if they'll fizzle out later. You wonder if you'll ever make friends that truly get you, or if you'll have to settle forever for people that you can't quite be yourself around. So if you're feeling lost, uncertain, or like life hasn't clicked into place yet, this might be exactly what you need to hear. Hey, if you're new, welcome to the cozy corner of the internet. I'm your host, Christina, and I help people stop shrinking and start living. One of the things I wish I knew earlier on in my 20s is that don't mistake validation for confidence. When you're all caught up in school or work or getting your first job, it's very easy to get caught up in validation, getting approval from your boss, getting the approval from your colleagues, without realizing if you end up on a hamster wheel of trying to chase validation from people, you can become someone that's very, very validated, but doesn't have much inner confidence. And because validation comes from other people, it comes from the nods of approval, the gosh, you look so amazing in the comments of your Instagram post. Validation leaves when other people leave, whereas confidence remains when other people leave. Validation is the posting, the Instagram post that you know will start a conversation and will get people talking about you. Will get a couple comments in your comment section, maybe get your post shared a few times. Whereas confidence is you posting when you feel like it and posting what you feel like. Validation is wearing the dress that you know people stop and stare at you. Like you get some double takes, you get some people like nearly breaking their neck trying to look at you. Whereas confidence is just wearing what you want to wear. Wearing what you feel most confident, most vibrant, most you in. Validation is feeling pressure and urgency to achieve something. Whereas confidence is feeling more passion, more of like a mission that you're on to achieve something. In my early 20s, I didn't quite understand the difference between the two. I leaned heavily on the validation, the relying on other people. I thought validation will come from other people and it will stick around when they leave. Like I'll still feel good about myself when the Instagram comments stop coming and the nods of approval stop coming. The approval from my professors, my lecturers, my teachers, from my friends. Like when that stops coming, I'll still feel good about myself. And then as soon as it stops, you realize something's missing. Like there was an internal void there that only confidence can fill. On the topic of friends, another thing that I wish I knew earlier on is that all the things that you hide is typically all the things where you'll connect with your people. For example, if we take this diagram, this is actually a diagram from my book, Stop Shrinking, Start Living, link in the description. When you're in your wanting to make more friends era, or putting yourself out there era, meeting new people era, you don't realize it, but sometimes you do kind of shape shift and change what you wear, change how you talk, change your interests to impress the other person that you're talking to. And what I've had to learn the hard way, that oftentimes the people that you try to impress and all the things that you conveniently try to hide and all the things that you show are never really gonna work out. Like the people that you try to impress and all the things that you show, these shapes just aren't adding up. This triangle could never match up to this circle. This circle could never match up to the triangle. However, all the things that you hide, like say your music taste or your hobbies, your love for the gym, like your love for the outdoors, for mountains and climbing and rock climbing, and your weird obsession with true crime documentaries, all the things that you hide because you think they're a bit weird. Like people are gonna think you're a weirdo. Those are all the things where you'll actually connect with your people. And now I know this is very scary. Being your true authentic self unapologetically is one of actually the scariest things that I think you're faced with sometimes in life. Like, especially when it's something you've never actually done before, like your whole life you've pretended to be someone else. However, if I stumbled across this video a few years ago and I was watching this, I don't want to put pressure on you to immediately tomorrow start being your whole authentic self to the next people you meet. That's not even the way. The best way to do it is to slowly but surely, in every conversation, in every opportunity to meet someone new, is to, rather than hide and normally cover up the things that you would hide, is to actually be honest. This is something I deep dive into in the first couple of chapters of my book. Sometimes we're so distracted with the goal of where we should be that we forget that actually there's a lot of tiny steps in between. And actually, if you nail the tiny steps, if you just slowly start to be yourself in the next conversation, if you actually be honest, being yourself will become more and more of a thing that's actually totally natural and normal. It's not as scary anymore because you do it. You did it in the last conversation. You do it in the next one. It becomes who you are. On the topic of connection and meeting your people, finding your people, I also want to talk about this concept called the hidden bridge. The scary thing that you come to realize actually as you progress in your 20s and you sort of, your high school friends, you keep in touch with some, but then some of them fizzle out, and your uni friends, you keep in touch with some, but some of them fizzle out. You realize like it's so easy. If anything, I'd go as far as to say like the default in your mid-20s, late 20s is a lot of people have friends, but no connection. Like they might have people they talk to at work. They might have people they talk to on text. They'll have friends, but do they have true close connection? If I'm having the worst day, if I get a terrible news, do you have someone to turn to? It's very, like in your late 20s, not a lot of people do. If you are one of those people that's very prone to hiding who you are and a bit scared to show your true self, you've currently got friends where you feel like you're only being half of you and not the whole you. Imagine this is you and this is connection. These are all the people that you want to meet, people where you can be your true authentic self. There's no hiding. They're interested in all the manga and all the true crime or the rock climbing, whatever your like unique quirky interest is. Then there's a bridge between you and them. And the way you bridge this is obviously you kind of open up, you be vulnerable, you be honest, you even go first. It's weird to be the first one to mention like, oh, I actually like this really indie artist and say the name because people might look at you like you're speaking in Mandarin. Like it's scary to be the first one, but that is part of this hidden bridge and connecting with people that are your people. Obviously, a lot of these are a bit of a challenge in themselves. It's hard to be honest. It's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard to go first. However, the biggest thing that blocks you from connecting with your people is actually this. And this is the fear of judgment. It's not like you don't know that these people exist. You know your people exist. Like, I'm sorry, 8 billion people on the planet. I know you're new. I know you're unique. I know you're special. I know you're individual. Sure. Like that's so true. You absolutely are. But there are people who are interested in the same things as you. You know these people are out there. You know they're somewhere. However, your biggest barrier to them isn't actually that you're not able to go first. You're not able to open up. It's just that you have a fear of judgment. It's that the last time you did speak about your favorite artist, someone gave you a weird look. You've probably been penalized before for being honest and being yourself, but now you have this big wall up that stops you from connecting with your people. So much so, this wall is so big and so tall that this bridge is almost hidden. That's why it's called the hidden bridge. You can't see your ability to connect with these people because you're so blinded by a fear of judgment. I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you are desperately wanting to meet like-minded people and people who feel the same, want the same things, think the same way, just as ambitious as you can't keep pretending. You can't hide behind a wall and expect people to break through the wall for you. Your people are out there, you have no idea. This is a concept from the book, Stop Shrinking, Start Living. Comment down below if you know what chapter it's from. You probably already read it. Another principle to help you level up in your early 20s. This one is for my people that like really into manifestation or really into law of attraction, or even if you're just someone that feels like you have everyone on a pedestal, this one is for you. This principle I call the value gap. So imagine everyone is on a spectrum. You have 0, you have 100. If you're someone that doubts yourself a lot, is a little bit insecure, or when it comes to manifestation, you think about that thing you want to achieve, you think about a goal you have in mind, and you have more questions than you have hope. You are nitpicking about your journey to get there and how you're going to get there, if you're qualified enough, if you know how much work it's going to take, how long it's like, the questions start coming. So when it comes to the value gap, 0, 100, you're doubting yourself quite a lot. It could even be in a social awkward situation where you feel like you're not funny enough, you're not cool enough. You've attributed low value to yourself. Let's say you're here. This is you, and this is like 40 on the spectrum. Naturally, when you look at other people who are really cool, really charismatic, you look at the goal you want to achieve, it's really impressive. It's just this amazing goal. Like, how am I ever going to achieve that? I want to manifest it, but I don't know how. This is the goal, and this is everyone else. And this is the value gap. The value gap is why you don't think you'll achieve the goal. Or the value gap is why you cancel all the plans that you get invited to. It's why you stay, you stick like glue to the person at the party that you know, and you never want to branch out and meet other people, because there's a value gap. The value gap is why, your boss could present you with like a challenging task to do at work, and he says, oh, there's a possibility for a promotion, like, if you do well on this, like, I'll consider you for something, and you say no because you are so fearful of doing things wrong and failing. You have goals of actually progressing and climbing the ladder, but your fear of failure is so big, you just don't see yourself as good enough. That is the value gap at work. The way you close the value gap, and the way I became a lot more confident, the way I was no longer afraid to go into a party where I knew no one, the way I wasn't afraid to speak to a stranger and go up to someone and say hi, the way I was able to achieve things that I genuinely didn't think were fathomable, like getting 100,000 subscribers or going to my dream medical school. The way I achieved these things isn't through manifestation methods and all the things you see on TikTok. Is actually just closing the value gap. And you might already be doing this without even realizing. The way you close the value gap, you might have heard other people talk about this as taking them off the pedestal, is you need to realize everyone's life is a walking pros and cons list. I call this the asset principle. Everyone has assets and everyone has flaws. When you're someone that's slightly more insecure about, your social anxiety, or insecure about whether or not you'll achieve a goal, you are focusing, borderline hyperfixating on all your flaws. Oh, but I'm not qualified enough to do that task that my boss asked me to. Oh, but I'm not ready enough. I've only been at the company for 6 months. I'm so junior. Someone else is more qualified. Janet in HR can do this job better than me. Like, why am I even here? I'm so undeserving. You've got assets on one side, and then you've got flaws on one side. You have ballooned your flaws. However, what you've done to absolutely everyone else is you've ballooned their assets. Janet is so amazing. Janet's so qualified. Gosh, he offered it to me, not Janet. Like, it's too much. Oh, no. I can't do this. Like, I'm all the way down here. She's all the way up there. This is something that I deep dive into in my comparison video, which is either coming out next week or it came out last week. I don't know. If there's a video out on comparison, I'll link it here. Go watch that, because I spend a bit of time deep diving into the asset principle. You close the value gap by like balancing the scales on your assets and your flaws, as well as everyone else's assets and everyone else's flaws. Everyone's life is a walking pros and cons list. Like, if you see someone else that seems really cool at a party and you're like, oh no, I'm nowhere near as good enough to talk to them, you've kind of only seen their attractiveness, their coolness. Maybe they grew up as actually the ugly duckling. Maybe they felt like you, literally how you feel right now, like 10 years ago. You would never know. Maybe they're going through a heartbreak. You would literally never know that. Everyone has assets and everyone has flaws. And typically, when you have a specific thing that's on this value gap spectrum, whatever you have that's further up, closer to the 100 side of the spectrum, you need to understand that this thing has flaws. This goes with manifestations as well. If you have a goal you want to achieve, and I know you dream about it. I know it's on your vision board. I know you want it so badly. You'll probably get there faster or get there quicker when you understand that this goal you have, no matter how amazing it is, no matter how incredible it is, it will have flaws. Whether it's law schools on your vision board, please understand stress comes with law school, or whether it's, moving to a new city, moving abroad. Do you know what the taxes are in that country? I mean, the taxes in your country now and the taxes in that country. How do you know you're not going to be paying double the taxes in that country? I don't know, a new wardrobe, new clothing. Maybe you've got some jewelry, some clothes, some bags. One thing I find exhausting about like nice clothes, because I've started to buy some nice clothes recently. They all say dry cleaning. Like this is one thing that they don't tell you when you buy nice clothes. I can't just shove it in the washing machine anymore. I have to get it dry cleaned. That means, so if I spend a week or two wearing some nice things, I now have to then go to the dry cleaner and pay, God knows, £40, £50, £60 to wash them. Everything has pros and cons, and things won't seem as far out of reach and miles away, and you won't be pining after them when you understand, you close the value gap and you realize it has an asset and it has a flaw. Okay, you bring it down to earth a little bit, and the same goes for you. But again, that's in my comparison video. Okay, now this is one of my favorite ones. Boundaries are good. Boundaries can feel a little bit scary to set and assert. It's very scary to tell someone over text, like, no, I'm not going to put up with that. Or it's even scarier in person to say to someone face to face, like, I'm not going to accept the way that you just spoke to me there. Like, that was out of order. I previously used to think as boundaries as like pushing people away, almost like a wall, whereas now I see them more as a filter. Say this is boundaries. I'll draw a little arrow. So these are your boundaries. This is just life. This is life, pouring people into your life, pouring situations, rude text messages. This is just life being life. And this at the top, naturally, if you have a filter, this will be the wrong people. And then as things get filtered, this will be the right people. As life does its thing and everything gets poured into your life, your boundaries act as a filter for the wrong people to be separate from the right people. And then what ends up happening is your life, when you assert boundaries, you're just left with the right people. This could also be the right situations, the right partners, the right boyfriends, the right girlfriends. When you don't have boundaries, you remove this filter. And I know boundaries are scary. It's scary to say to someone like, I don't like the way you just spoke to me there. However, when I think about my friends and I think about the people I truly care about, like it would never actually upset me if they had a boundary and told me like, oh, Christina, like I don't like how you cancelled on me, or I don't like the way that you said that. Your tone was really harsh there. I wouldn't be offended. Like I would actually like, I prefer the people that I care about to tell me. Boundaries aren't a wall, they're actually a filter, because the good people, they're in your life anyway. Like they've crossed the filter and they've crossed the boundary anyway. You could never push away the right person with a boundary. You'd only push away the wrong person. I'd like to know your thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. The proper microphone has died, so we're back to iPhone now, but thankfully the video is finished. If you enjoyed this video, I know you're going to enjoy my 7 signs that you're more confident than you think video. Confidence is subjective and it's a lot more subtle than you think. So here are 7 signs that you're more confident than you think. Thank you so much for watching. I love and appreciate you guys so much. Honestly, I know I don't say it enough in my videos, but I appreciate you guys so much. I cannot believe this community has grown and grown to the size that it is now. And more than it makes me happy that people enjoy watching the videos, it makes me happy that you guys have a community now. You have a safe space online to meet other people who feel the same, and just, I don't know, it just makes me happy that like there's like a more community now that you guys are a part of. Like it makes me so happy. So thank you so much and see you in the next one.